So with your permission, I think we'll get started. We should reward the people that show up on time. That's my theory. And we will end on time. So that's my theory too. Welcome to this program. So I want you to note, you probably will walk away from here tonight with questions that haven't been answered. And I know you will wake up in the morning with questions you wish you had asked or observations that you have. Because quite often, we plant the seeds in a meeting like this and you go home, even on the drive home, you say, oh, I should have said, So please take a note of the address behind me here and send us those notes, those comments, those questions that you have, because we're here to help you get that. So this will show up again at the end of our session, but that address there will get, and I tried it out this morning to make sure it works. Good, all right. So welcome everybody. My name is Paul Pierce, and I'm gonna be our tour guide this evening. We want to thank you on behalf of the City of Fresno and NCAP, who are the consultants working on our cultural arts plan, which you'll be learning about and contributing to tonight. I'm a former planner for the City of Fresno a long time ago, and I was on the County Planning Commissioner, so I know a little bit about planning. I facilitated meetings for city planning and lots of CBOs and nonprofits, and I'm also a musician, a poet, and an ardent consumer of cultural arts, especially here in Fresno, where I live in the Tower District. So I'll be around during and around after if you have thoughts or comments you want to share with me as well. prac@fresno.gov. So that's the address in the email. So, did everybody get a packet, if you wanted one? We'll be covering this, and there are materials available when you leave if you need some extra stuff, so if you have questions. How did you hear about this event? I'm curious. No wrong answers. Yeah? Somebody called you. Great, okay. How did you hear? Your council. Art council, okay. Yes? Email, yeah. So a friend told me, okay, great. Well, I really appreciate your showing up tonight. We would have been so lonely without you. Okay, so we hope, so the process that we're looking at today, we're here to listen to you, to find out what's important for you in the cultural arts where we live here in Fresno. So the document itself is a guide that the city will use to help navigate what needs to be done to support and nourish arts and culture in our town. Nearly every major metropolitan city in the United States has a plan that helps guide their cultural and arts scene programmatically and financially. If you want to know and see some examples of this, all you have to do is Google Cultural Arts Plan City. So Cultural Arts Plan Sacramento, Cultural Arts Plan Chicago, and you can see what the people who did this a couple of years ago created in the way of cultural arts planning. So the idea is that it would provide guidelines for money that we're going to get from Measure P. Measure P, you're familiar with, is providing money that we will be funding. But in order to spend that money, the city has to have a plan for it. They just can't arbitrarily start popping it out. So your participation tonight will help create that plan. The folks with NCAP have been meeting with agencies and individuals throughout the town who are involved with cultural arts, and we're having several of these meetings, one last night at Fresno High. Glad to be here at Roosevelt tonight to talk about and listen to people with this. So, why have a plan? We could take Chicago's or Boston's, but we're not Chicago or Boston. Every town is unique, and Fresno is particularly unique. So there's information that on a cultural arts plan would look like, why it's needed, and how we can achieve it. Prior to having grant programs, the city needs to adopt this plan. And Measure P funds have opened an incredibly unique opportunity for the city of Fresno to develop, not just to develop a plan, but to fund arts organizations and artists in the valley. So a robust community engagement is required, to make this work, and again, we could take the Boston plan or the Chicago plan, but we're Fresno, and we're different, and we're special, so we're here to build that plan for us. So how do we do this? Above all the logistics aside, and we have people who do logistics, the qualitative and quantitative data aside, a cultural arts plan would not be possible without input from you. The robust community engagement is critical to serve, and that's why you're here, and that's why we're here. How's this plan get developed? Again, considering the breadth of diversity in City of Fresno, both the city and NCAP wanted to ensure that all options were exhausted with respect to community outreach and collecting data. I was really glad to hear the different sources that you found out about this meeting from. We tried really hard to get folks here. We wanted to make outreach strategies accessible to everyone. So it was on the internet, you got phone calls, you got talking to your friends, that's how we're here. NCAP has worked tirelessly with the City of Fresno to ensure that we have materials available, Spanish, Hmong, Punjabi, and English for folks so we can enjoy your help. So how can you help? As we said earlier, it's not possible without your commitment and your input. So if you're wondering what it looks like, this is how plans get made. We meet with the folks who will be affected by the plans, ask them what they want, and then we try to incorporate as much of that as we can into the plan itself. So we're going to be doing two things tonight. The first one, at your tables, we're going to be doing a little brainstorming session, and I've got 4 questions that we'll be asking during that session. It'll take about a half hour to do that. I'll explain those as we get there. And then the second part, after you've gone through generating this information, we're going to ask, I'm getting feedback. Okay, we're going to ask for you to think about what kind of themes emerged. So I just want to kind of plant those seeds in your head. First, we're going to generate information and then look at what kind of themes come from that information, okay? So, first question. Now, I just want to make sure we're in definable tables and workable size, so we might want to move around a little bit so you get a better chance to talk. This table has quite a few people, so if any of you are willing to maybe move to a table that has a few fewer people, that would be, you'll get more chance to talk that way too. So, can we do that? I think they look friendly over there, I'm telling you. Yeah. So we got four will be working, okay. And can you all talk with each other as one table? Yeah. So you might want to scoot down so you can hear, maintain what distance you're comfortable with, yeah. We find about 6 people is a perfect size group, 6 or 7 people. Okay, that looks good. That's good for starts. So we're going to do this. We're going to look, first of all, at what your experience has been. I'll tell you, and then we'll do each one, okay? What has your experience been with cultural arts in Fresno? What do you go to? What do you see? What do you listen to? What do you do? Secondly, what's your experience outside of Fresno? What do you have to go, or what do you choose to go somewhere else to experience, right? The third question we're going to ask is, what's important about those experiences to you, to your family, to your friends? What's important about that art experience, that cultural art experience? And then the final question, where the rubber hits the road, is, what could the city do to help make that better? What could the city do to help make that better? So 4 questions, okay? So, after we do that, then I'm going to ask you to look at all the information you generated and think about what kind of themes emerge from this that could be part of a plan that we develop. So what kind of themes come out of that? And we'll talk a little bit about that when we get there. So we'll do that in small groups. So if you would turn to your partners now at your table, and you'll notice each of you has a facilitator. Would you facilitators wave your hands and I look at your facilitator, because they're the one you're going to be talking with now. They have the cards, so we've got sticky notes for each step of the game. Blue sticky notes, the first one we're going to do is for what have you done or experienced or enjoyed in the city of Fresno for cultural arts? So blue cards, write on those, hand them to your facilitator there. We're going to collect all of this information. None of it will be lost, okay? None of it will be lost. And you have 7 minutes to do that. You're doing a really good job. There's all kinds of sticky notes up there. This is going to put our analysts to work trying to bring it all into one plan. So this is great. Keep it up. Now, in just a minute, I know some of you are moving ahead already, but we're going to be looking at, on the pink cards, what is important about that? I go to concerts, what is important about that to me? What is important about that to my children, to my parents? So, on the pink cards, we're talking about why it's important to us. When we talk about what's important, my first thought is what is important to my family and to me. So that's the first part of that. And if you think that it's also important for our whole community, that's another part, and that's fine too. But mostly, what is it? Why do you care? Why is it important to you? If you haven't got there already, it's time for the yellow cards, and those are the ones, what could the city do? So we're going to have money that's coming into the city coffers from Measure P. How should we spend that money? So we're going to be making recommendations in this plan for how the city will spend money. So what kind of things could the city do? And be creative. Think outside of your normal range. Anything we can, it's sort of like when you ask Santa, in my culture, went to Santa, I asked, that didn't mean I got it, but I did ask every time for a new bike. And one time I finally got one. So what could the city do to help? And I see you guys already have 8 things or 10 things that they could do. Good, all right. We're gonna take a brief break, but let me tell you something very important before we do. The bathroom is right back there at room number 2, okay? And there are also bathrooms outside, boys and girls. If you could get to that one first, it's going to be cleaner. They told me. So bathrooms right back there. Food's still over there. And if you didn't get some, please do. We're going to take a 5-minute break for that. And I also wanted to introduce Aaron Aguirre, who is our parks director. And he's here tonight. He's been coming to these, watching what's going on and helping out that. So thank you for being here tonight, Aaron. So 5-minute break. Get up, move around, look at the other charts if you like, because we're going to come back to our tables in 5 minutes. I'll call you back to think about themes. What kind of themes emerged out of your thinking process? From the sight of the sticky notes, you just kick butt. You're so much better than the people last. Okay, you just really generate stuff. So thank you very much. Themes were things like natural habitats for the animals. That was a theme, right? That was kind of a theme. What kind of themes came up in your discussion about how arts and culture should be available to people in our town? What kind of themes came up? And your facilitators will be taking notes as you have that discussion with them. Some of you have jumped on that already, but as you talk about that, looking at all the things that you've been to, both inside and out of town, and why those are important, and what you think the city should do, then what kind of themes come out of all that we can use to, when we drop this plan, to guide us to draw the plan? Yes? Okay. And there's no wrong answers on this. Don't be hesitant to try out a crazy answer, because those are sometimes the best ones. Okay, so you've done the real hard work tonight, and I want to thank you for that. When we come in as planners, we want to make a plan, we think we know what should happen, and sometimes we even do. But it really doesn't matter if the community isn't involved and doesn't have their heart in it. And you've shown that you have your heart in this by spending this time with us this evening. And I want to appreciate that, because when we do that planning work, then we're not just making stuff up. We're talking about what real people care about in their lives and for their children. That's the first part. And I want to let you know the second part. That I was a planner for 8 years and on the planning commission for 4 more after that. And it doesn't matter how good a plan is if the community isn't there to support it. So looking around the room, looking at each other across the table, we are the ones that will make this dream come true for Fresno. The planners are going to make a good plan. I don't doubt that. I've seen what their work is. But we, all of us who care about Fresno, are the ones who make that happen. So I hope you met at least one person tonight that can be your buddy in this work, right? And if you didn't, you still have time to meet somebody. There's some really special people in this room. Very special people. So now we're going to go around to each team, and I'm going to ask each team, to the facilitator, to read one of the themes that you came up with, and then we'll go all the way around, then we'll come back and go around again, and then we'll go around again until we hear all the themes. And our scribe is recording this. You'll hear the sound of the ink over there blistering in the marker, and we're typing it in too, so we're saving all this information. So, Freddie, what was one of the themes that came out of your team? And where's the microphone? Here. There you go.
So our first theme was more money for kids.
Our first theme was accessible transportation and safety.
So it doesn't do any good to have arts if you can't get there and you don't feel safe, right? Yeah. And this team? Oh. Sometimes there'll be overlap, that's okay.
We ended up having more than 3, so. But our first was dance folklorico.
Okay, so cultural dance folklore.
Developing a free art hub.
Developing a free art hub. Wow.
All right, our second one was preservation of art.
Our second one was family-friendly museums and events.
Our second was art shows, specifically kind of culturally themed art shows.
Improving community cohesion.
Latin Music Festival was our third one. Latin Music Festival, Latino Music Festival.
Our next one is cost and affordability.
Ours is music and singing.
Resources for cultural groups.
Grants for local organizations and individual artists.
Local organizations and artists.
Ours is related. We have a couple resources here, specifically kind of smaller grassroots organizations.
Okay.
Creation, promotion, maintenance of public spaces.
Okay, any others? Were there any others? You have a couple more? Oh, yeah.
Yeah, we do.
Okay, well, I'll go back for it. Yeah, okay.
Yeah, we have the idea of cultural education, inclusive cultural artwork, but also to show to other cultures and learn from other cultures.
Pride in community.
Mm-hmm.
Pride in community. Honoring community leaders, heroes.
Got them?
So that's it for us.
Okay, all right. And
We have, yeah.
Okay, all right.
Expanding cultural arts into public spaces.
Uh-huh.
Improving cohesion between art and cultural groups. And our last one is improving communication.
Improving communication, okay. So, what I love about what I heard was that some of your themes are very individual, about individual cultures and how we need to honor those. And Fresno is extremely rich with culture. And it's a crime that people aren't more educated about the other cultures, what that offers their life, or they're afraid of them because they don't know. So that issue of safety and accessibility so that we can share cultures is one thing I'm hearing. And I'm hearing the specific kinds of activities that you want to see funded and supported. And they're invariably performing artists from the Valley who are performing here. Also, and if you've read the paper recently, about the vandalism of art in Fresno, so that was an issue that came up about we need to protect the art we have, and particularly that in public places. I heard that. I heard the value in terms of both individual, familial, and community pride that comes out of having a vibrant arts and culture in our community. So we've got those things written down, and you can check over here on the group themes thing, and if something isn't on there on your way out the door, there's a marker around that you can grab to add it. So again, I want to say that you have given us incredible gifts tonight with your thinking and with your heart, okay? And that's what's necessary to make something as dry as a paper document into a living thing that will make our community better. And so we thank you so much for that. I have 2 other slides here. So the next steps, and I would want to know this if I were you. So right now through November, we've got several other meetings scheduled to listen to the people in the community like tonight and find out what they're thinking. And there's going to be one at Edison tomorrow, and at Vinland on Thursday. So if you know people in those neighborhoods, I see at least 2 people here who were there last night and they decided, hey, I'm coming back. This was so much fun, I can't stand it. And the sandwiches were pretty good too. Yeah, a question?
I have a question. Looking at our group, where did the flyers go out to these students so that the parents could know or they could come? I mean, I hate to say it, but I know it's a pretty good group, but this is a high school. I mean,
Yeah.
I don't know how many students come, but I'm sure hundreds. But, and then yesterday, I also saw that in Fresno High, which is my neighborhood. This is my family's neighborhood. But I'm really concerned that, Roosevelt being such a art,
Right. Can I get to that? I hear you, and I share it.
Go out to the kids in the schools? Will the flyers go out at those schools that we will be at too?
We can get some feedback on that. I don't know the answer to that, so we'll get feedback on that. Question is, where are the students? And typically, let me just tell you, you may look around the room and say, gosh, there aren't very many of us here. And that's one way to see it. I regularly go to city planning meetings where they're talking about planning, and 4 people show up, and 2 of them are developers. This is considered a huge crowd in this kind of work. So, it's a big room, and we feel a little tiny group, but we really are. Are we not fully representative? You're absolutely right. And so people don't show up for these things. So what I do know is that quite a few people came here tonight because they heard about it, so from a friend. So if you know those people, we all have a responsibility, and we are doing the best outreach we know how to do. This has been the best outreach, I think, of any planning effort that the city I know of has done. Is it good enough? I wanted the room full, right?
No,
Okay,
my
so.
question is, did it go out to the schools?
Did it go to the schools? Yes. There are youth meetings specifically planned, so that they're targeted. And actually, yeah. So, and those dates are?
Everything's on the website.
Okay, so we'll get you that.
So it didn't go out. The flyers are not going out. That is something else.
Okay.
Which has to be
Okay, wait,
like,
right, yeah.
yeah.
Okay, I want to cover this because there are people, we'll stick around for questions. So between now, we're having meetings, and there will be also virtual meetings. So if people couldn't get here, there are going to be 2 Zoom meetings. Those are on the website. Share them with your friends. Frankly, last night, I had a table of my neighbors there because I went and talked to them about this. So you know about this. Share them with your friends, right? After the information is gathered, then the planners are going to sit and look at all this information. They've recorded all of your sticky notes with film, and they're going to transcribe that and group it and come up with the themes based on what we're offering, we're learning in these meetings, and develop a plan that will be ready between January and March. They'll be working on that. And then in March and April, and this is one that you want to pay attention to, is an opportunity for feedback on the draft plan. So you'll see if your ideas made it to the plan. You'll see what other ideas that came up in other groups happened, made it to the plan. So that's a real crucial piece. And then we're hoping to see the council adopt this plan on May 23rd. So, yes.
Who are the planners that you frequently refer to? Who are these?
The ones that are doing this?
Talking about planners who are going to develop a plan based
Okay, Tony
Who are the planners?
at NCAP. So Tony,
What does NCAP stand for?
it stands for,
That's the group. Yeah, what does it stand for? The Network for Culture and Arts Policy. Okay. Just trying to clarify this.
and
Throw acronyms around.
thank you. Sean, thank you. And the Fresno Arts Council, which many of you know of, was instrumental in selecting these consultants to come work with us. Yeah. Good question. Good question. And you could go to their website and see the quality of work they do, and you'll feel in good hands. You'll feel in good hands. So that's the schedule. Right now, we're circulating feedback. So exactly, put it in writing. I mean, it's important we say it, but put it in writing. Your concerns. It's a process we're going on. We've only had 2 meetings. We've got, I think, 6 more to go. So we'll get better as we do that too. Yes? The websites with plans?
Go to the website, but I don't know what website you're talking about. And every time I go to the website for the city, I get lost because it's hard to navigate. I find it funny.
Okay, that's a really good question.
We're gonna get an address right over. Okay, thank you.
We'll get it right in front of us. Yes?
I just wanted to point out that there is another step in this process. There is a Major P Commission that was appointed by the mayor and supported by the city council. That's also an important community body that you're entitled to make presentations to down the road. If there's an idea that is important to your community that you want to further stress on it, the commission meets every other week on Mondays, and you can join through Zoom, or you can go in person to the city council and participate in that process. That's one more step. This is a very generous process, seeking the input of the community, and there are many opportunities. This is a wonderful opportunity that I enjoy. By the way, I'm here as a community member, even though I'm one of the 9 commissioners of Measure P. But I'm excited that all of you took time to come over to this event. There are a lot of wonderful people here that have done a lot of work in the area of arts already, and there are some of those that we enjoy art and we want to see more invested in it.
So if you did not meet Jose before, you definitely want to meet him before you go. So you're going to be the most popular man around. And thank you for sharing that link to that and being here and representing them and your community. So, yes.
Yes, in line with that, thank you, Jose, for that. Since you're on that commission, what confidence do you have that the community's input will be seriously considered if the commissioners are appointed at the discretion of the mayor? Because it doesn't really matter who's mayor. Often these appointed bodies end up ultimately serving whoever appoints them rather than the community. So I'm asking a rather provocative question.
Well, the commission is a very diverse group, which is very good. It has folks from all areas. I mean, you're not going to have every single area, but it is as diverse as it can be. And the important thing is that the commission has a role of making recommendations to the city council. And so a lot of the stuff, like the draft plan, that would go back to the commission. The commission has the ability to make recommendations, and then it moves on to the council. But it's a group of people from your community. I live in Southeast Fresno, and the other members live in other parts of the city. And we try to, through this process, we listen, and then all this is being documented, and it will be presented in the form of a draft plan to the commission and then to the city council.
Okay, thanks. That gives me a bit more confidence.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So and then when the council adopts it, it becomes the law of how the money will be spent. So this is the first part, and one of the planners just asked me to make sure to tell you that every single one of the 522 sticky notes I see on here will be recorded and noted and used as they develop the plan. So your work has been valuable tonight. These are gems of thinking. So the more we get involved. So there are further meetings, and do we have the website, the city website that we can post? Because I don't have that on a slide. Okay.
So, maybe you guys already filled it out. I didn't even know there was a survey. So, where do I find the cultural arts community survey?
Well, it was a time thing, and the time is out on that. So this answer, I took it, and it basically asked those questions. So you've got, if you fill that out.
Down here?
Huh?
The part you did here?
This and the survey, the information you're filling out there. Yeah. When I took the survey, it was that simple. 3 questions like that. Yeah. Yes.
It says, the grant, some of the grants activities and programs are funded by individuals and small groups that are rated in poverty and have no access to funds or information to get funds. Will the city make it more accessible so that we can see where to go? Or how how will we know about, what is Measure P funds or how to apply?
Okay.
Can I keep something for further?
Yeah. Let me just say this, as a city resident, as a former city employee for 21 years, as a city planner, as a city manager in the city will do what you tell it to if you tell it real clearly. So, that's they represent us, and your council person rep was here, and he left his cards, and if you take one of those cards and you get to know those people, and they get to, when they see the phone number that you're calling, they know, oh, she's calling me again, I better take that call. This is the way the cow eats cabbage in government. The people who influence are the ones that get it. So if it's only people with money who are influencing, that's where it goes. But when we all show up, they have to get elected with votes. And you vote, and you tell them that, and you show up and tell them what you want. And they really are doing I truly believe they're doing the best they can with the information they have. So you have given us incredible information to channel to them through this plan tonight. Incredible information. And we are committed to making sure that they get that. And I'm hearing that the commission honors that and appreciates that. And you're here both as a participant and a member. So that gives me a little reassurance, as you said, Sean. So, but again, it's up to you and me to show up. And you are the ones who did show up tonight. And you know what? When you show up, you're the one that counts. So you've got your name on the list. We will be calling you and letting you know when there's the next thing. And you can check with that email that I'm going to give you again here. There. So send your further questions in there, and we'll get back to you quickly, okay? We've got a team that is committed to this, and I just have met them recently, and I'm thoroughly impressed that they'll represent us well. Okay. Yes? On the website, fresno.gov/cultural arts plan. I can even remember that in my old age, so you can too, but write it down. fresno.gov cultural arts plan. Okay? Thank you for being here. I know that there are several sandwiches left there, and if you would be so kind as to take some home to the people that might be wanting a sandwich about now, because you're here, you weren't there with them tonight, you can gain a few points that way, so please feel free to help yourselves on the way out and leave your surveys, and thank you so much for joining us tonight.